You're listening to Tabletop and Beyond, the Guild 9 gaming podcast covering board games to war games and beyond.
Welcome back to Tabletop and Beyond. I am your host, Justin, and I'm here with my two compadres, Dan and Jason.
Hey.
All right. We've got a pretty good show for you today. A lot of us have been stuck inside with our families, which is a good thing, just to be with all that family time. And to kind of stave off a little bit of the cabin fever, we have been engaging in a lot of games with the family and doing things together. So wanted to touch on that today. Today's topic is family favorite games, or favorite family games, actually, is what we were calling it. But let's kick it off with Geek Week. Dan, what do you got for us?
Well, besides the season finale of Star Trek Picard, which I really enjoyed, fully recommended for our listeners because, hey, it's Trek and it's got everybody back almost except for 2 or 3 characters.
I haven't seen it yet. Not one episode.
Not one episode. Well, I mean, it'll be there for a while if you you can get a free month of CBS All Access instead of a free week, which is plenty of time to binge a 10-episode show.
I heard that they're streaming all the episodes of Picard for free, period.
Maybe. I don't know. I have a paid account, so I wouldn't know. But it was great. It was great. And it got me thinking about playing Star Trek RPGs again. And then I keep thinking, I have plenty of RPGs on the shelf. Don't buy another one. I also played in an online game of Android Netrunner using the Genesis system. We did that last weekend, and it was really great. 4 or 5 hours on Zoom was pretty great. When you have somebody paying for a Zoom account, it's pretty good stuff. So yeah, and it really helps to have an online dice roller. We used the same online dice roller app that we had used for our group a couple weeks back that I had reported out on, and it worked great. So
that's especially helpful for like the Genesis with the narrative dice.
Yeah, when you're all looking at the same thing at the same time, it's very, very helpful because it's symbol-based, not number-based. It's just great. But anything will work, whatever floats your boat. I highly recommend finding some kind of dice roller for your RPG where everybody's looking in the same window at the dice. I thought that was a really great added benefit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So that was my Geek Week. Jason,
what you got for us?
Well, I dove back into a game with some old friends on Xbox Live. Elite Dangerous, booted that back up.
Oh,
which
nice.
Is, if anyone's not familiar with it, it's a space simulation. Kind of, sometimes they call it truckers in space because it's a lot of hauling stuff from space station to space station. But it's a flight simulator in space. But it also has combat mechanics and other things, and mining and all those things. So I spent a night with some buddies hunting pirates in a Kalaga system, and it was a lot of fun. Years ago, my wife got me. She saw that I was looking at a T-HOTUS, which is like a flight controller stick, a flight stick, on like Amazon and eBay and stuff, and I never got it. And then one day for my birthday, all of a sudden, boom, it's my main gift. She bought it for me. I was like, that's an awesome wife. She was watching this gaming thing. Anyways, you can play.
She probably turned on the computer, and on her Facebook, it was all the ads for that controller. Right?
Yeah. Ooh, just figured something out there.
Are you still interested? Oh, yeah, exactly. Sign into her webpage and just start looking up all the stuff you're interested in, and it'll just populate her ads with it.
Yeah, man. So you can play on the Xbox. You can play Elite Dangerous with this flight controller, and it's a 2-piece thing, right? So you got a stick in your right hand, you got a thruster in your left. There's like a million buttons on the thing, and you can map them all sorts of things. It's a really fun, immersive experience. So I was able to jump in with some buddies and kind of pull that game. In June of this year, fleet carriers get released, which are like almost like player-owned, portable space stations with landing pads and services for the ships.
Oh,
so I'm excited for that, but I think I'm never going to have enough money for them.
I don't know. You got like what, 1.5 billion right now?
I'm sitting on $2 billion, but the guess is that they're going to be somewhere under $20 billion. So I still think I'm an order of magnitude
What would be kind of cool is if they did some like revenue sharing that you could pool your money, you know?
Yeah, that's one thing about this game is it's very much focused on your own economy, developing your own economy. Oh, well, to be fair, the economy is definitely driven by the players and what they're moving between systems and what they're mining and what they're selling and all that. But there's no way to directly just give another player money, which is different than like EVE Online, where you can just transfer ISK into another player's account. And here, the only way to really share money is to do things together. You can do what they call multi-wing missions, where you go and then when you do the multi-wing mission, then the money from that mission is split. Not split, it's doubled. So if a mission is 2 million and you both do it, it's not that you get one, he gets one. You both get 2 million, which is kind of a fun mechanic.
Even if there's three, you each get 2 million.
So it kind of means that there's a little bit of an inflation in the economy. But the other thing is Frontier Games, who runs this game, they are very active in monitoring the economy, inserting events into the lore and the world to kind of control the system so it doesn't kind of get blown out of proportion.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do think, though, that with the advent of fleets and basically making this kind of little space station, it would be kind of cool because you can form like it's not called a club. What's it called?
It's called guild? A faction.
A faction. So you can form your own faction.
Yep.
And it would be nice if you could pool some of those resources into your faction so that you could have a faction fleet carrier and you're all profiting from it, or
I think that's where in a lot of these games emergent gameplay comes out, right? It's not coded necessarily into the game by the developers, but the players find ways to emerge. The ability to come together and benefit off of each other's resources. It just kind of falls out of the way that players find on how to build the game and play the game.
Yeah.
We'll see. Point. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It's not till June, so it's a little ways off.
And I will say that
awesome. I'm totally on their website right now going, I wish I had a platform I could play that on.
That's right. You don't.
I would get really addicted to this really fast. I have to monitor my addicted personality.
Yep.
This game it's a blast. And it's come a long way since it was first released too, though. Like they put down planetary vehicles that you could like go land and mine stuff on surfaces and
drive around in little ATVs on the vehicle surfaces.
Yeah, and do like sabotage missions and other things, So there's a lot of stuff. They didn't have combat initially, from what I understand. That came, or maybe they did.
Yeah, they've always had combat, but it's not. They released. They've enhanced it for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It sounds like what Mass Effect 1 used to feel like, where you're just kind of out there.
It kind of does. Yeah. You remember you get on the Mass Effect 1 and that thing and you just like roll all over the planet? There's definitely feels like that on some of those planets that I've been on.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's... Sorry, just one more thing. The other thing that's really cool about this game is the guy... The guy who developed the original, which was a PC game released in 1984 on the Commodore 64.
Wow!
And I played it I had a Commodore 128, and I played it, and it was a difficult game, but it was a space simulation game. He is still involved today in this version of the game.
That is awesome.
20 some odd, almost 30 years later, right?
Well, good for him. That's great.
Now, if you have this on the PC and not the Xbox, you can actually do virtual reality. And it's pretty immersive because you are literally looking in your cockpit. You can look up, you can look down, access your controls from there. I know a lot of people on the PC that use the virtual reality and they swear by it. They say it's one of the best games in virtual reality.
I beg to differ. There's no way the Commodore 64 would ever do virtual reality.
I tell you, when you puke, you can feel it hit your lap when you're in the VR playing Elite Dangerous.
That would be the augmented. That's the augmented reality of it, right?
There you go. Yeah.
There's a lot of vomit in space.
Yeah.
In space, no one can hear you blarb.
There you go.
Awesome. All right. Sounds like a pretty good geek week for you, Jason.
It's fun.
Let's see. For my part, I've got kind of a twofold thing. The first one is that I finished completely Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
So no more Greek on Duolingo.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of dropped that a little bit ago. It was just hard to keep up every day, and especially once I got busy with work and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
and Duolingo likes to put on the app likes to give you this really strong guilt trip. Like,
oh,
hey,
it's the
haven't
worst.
seen you. You're about to lose that streak. You lost the streak.
You lost the streak. Yeah, I lost my streak at like 63 days, and I'm like, I don't know if I have the will to start over.
Yep. All it takes is not getting up for work one day.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Don't let the game social engineer you, man.
Yeah. So, anyway, so I finished Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I told the listeners 2 weeks ago, and I think last week as well, that my wife butt approved Jedi Fallen Order, so I accidentally bought that. And so I started picking that up last couple of days, and it's been a great game. It has a strong feel of Tomb Raider. Like, if you played Tomb Raider, like,
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order feels a lot like it in terms of, like, jumping puzzles and, game puzzles that you have to kind of explore. And then it throws in, of course, like, some pretty smooth lightsaber and force power combat. So, that's always pretty good. I've enjoyed it so far. Coming from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you have, like, 80 different dialogue options whenever you're having a conversation with someone, it's kind of refreshing, I'm going to be honest with you, that the dialogue is just kind of canned wrote. Like, you just get through the cutscene and you're like, okay, I'm on my mission again. That, you don't have to, like, parse through and figure out what everybody's trying to say, what everybody's thinking, how you should respond to make sure that they don't just shut down the conversation, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with that right now, so it's refreshing. And then the other side of my geek week has been very prepper focused. I don't know. I don't know if that's like the way to best describe it, but I've been getting into. I've watched probably about 1 billion different reviews on a 6-hour P320X compact 9mm pistol that I'm going to be buying. I've watched 1 billion different things on a ham radio usage, and what kind of little handheld radios are good, and then also what kind of larger ham radios I might want to get, and then also like what kind of just general preparedness stuff, because I don't know, I'm feeling like we might be, some poop might be hitting the fan, so I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But
You're in panic. You heard it here first, people.
That's the thing, though. I talked to my wife today about this. I'm not panicking. I'm preparing. I'm prepping.
Yeah.
Hope for the best.
You're gonna have a bunker next. You're gonna be digging a bunker in the backyard.
Listen, I won't say that I haven't thought
so you
about
already
that.
started digging. Yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, there's just it actually, all of this prepping stuff sort of started when I built my garden a couple of weeks ago, and I started thinking more about like self-sufficient, type living, and then of course in the background of the coronavirus, it's it's taking off. And my wife accused me of being lonely because she's out of town right now. She accused me of being lonely and bored. And I said,
I'm lonely. I'm buying a gun. There's a problem
That's
there.
exactly what I was thinking.
Don't be that lonely. Don't be that lonely.
She's gonna come back and, hey honey, I'm home. Where's honey? She goes in the backyard. There's this giant hole in the backyard, and you're in the middle of the hole, just covered in
Covered
mud.
in dirt.
Yep.
With two shovels. You had to break one on the way down.
She's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "Honey, be quiet. Be quiet. They could be listening. Get down here."
grab a shovel, but do it
There's a
quietly.
tinfoil hat over
Get the
there
kids
for
a
you.
shovel.
Put the tinfoil hat on.
Listen,
And
guys,
if you have a $10 bill, get it out of your wallet. They're tracking you.
Listen, right now, as we speak, I have 200 rounds for my 308 rifle and 250 rounds for my 12-gauge shotgun up on my counter. It just got mailed to me. So, don't you worry.
So I
Don't
got
you
a
worry
new
about
case
me.
for my phone this week.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Listen, I told you, it's a different kind of geek week for me. Okay?
Sure was.
I don't know how to come back from this. Right?
Yeah. Let's see what's the next on the agenda.
Listen, you guys, you know, you're laughing now,
I
and
know.
it's fine.
I'm
You
not
guys have
laughing
your
at you.
chuckles. You guys have your chuckles. All
Who
right.
knows what will come?
All right, well, let's talk about the news. Let's
get to news.
Okay. So last week I gave PaizoCon a whole bunch of crap for not canceling their May 24 to May 27 PaizoCon, but they officially did cancel, so I feel bad for giving them a truckload of crap for doing a convention in Washington State.
In Seattle, yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
I can't make it up. I can't make that up.
Yeah.
Catalyst Game Labs, they've discounted all their PDFs for Shadowrun and Battletech game lines by 20%, and there's an additional 20% off for their other products in their game store. So go check that out if you're a big fan of Shadowrun or Battletech or any of the other Catalyst Game Labs products. You may find a great time. It's a great time to be a gamer if you're not getting together in the same room with your buddies.
Hey, real quick question: the Catalyst Game Labs, were they the ones that actually developed Shadowrun, or is this a mod, like a module for Shadowrun?
No, I think it's I think it's theirs, right? Yeah,
Okay.
no,
It's theirs now. It wasn't theirs originally, but
It
they
used to be FASA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think they own the license now.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So.
And I've never heard of Battletech. I'll have to do some research on that one.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm dead serious.
We should have a sidebar about Battletech and about.
You got to stop watching videos about guns and do more.
Yes, Battletech was the ultimate gateway miniature combat battle game back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, really? Okay.
So if you played miniature tabletop combat like 30K, 40K, you started with Battletech.
Interesting. You know, did they have like a video game of that come out?
Yes, it has
I think I
morphed
played
into
that.
lots of different video games over
Yeah.
the years. When
And it's like Mech Warriors, right?
Mech Warriors, that all came from there. When they first created Battle Pods, you know, those video games you get inside of, one of the first types of games they put into those pods was a Battletech variant. So
Interesting.
yeah, so it's all great stuff. You know, both Shadowrun and Battletech have, you know, warm fuzzies in my game heart. So anybody who goes and puts some money down for Catalyst is doing good in my book.
You know what's funny is I think I have a shoebox full of Battletech minis up in my closet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got some awesome use somewhere for some game. Did you paint them?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, they were given to me by some friends who played them a lot and then moved on to something else.
Moved on to something else. So you got the minis. You could adapt those to lots of different things. They're great.
Yeah.
They're great. Next item of news, the Annie Awards are still on schedule despite COVID-19. So the folks that do the Annie Awards in conjunction with Gen Con are still planning on going through all the steps for submissions for the Annies, and there should be online voting again. What happens is different publishers submit their work, and then there's a panel that figures out the finalists, and then there's an online vote to see who wins. So that is still, the Annie Awards are still scheduled for July 21st at Gen Con in Indianapolis. So all of us who have bought Gen Con tickets are all desperately crossing our fingers to hope that we don't have a global pandemic. But as the days wear on, the optimism wears thin. Let's just
Certainly
say that.
does.
But I was talking to my brother, who's in our gaming group from time to time, and he's in our Gen Con group regularly. I was like, well, you know, every time I go to a con, I get gamer crud. I mean, you get like this low grade cold just from going to a con.
Yeah.
Oh, except for a catacon. There's plenty of social distancing there. They had lots of room. I liked it. It was good. That was a good con. But other than that, you get a gamer cred. And I was thinking, with all these convention cancellations, there's going to be a good number of conventions that are going to have to go bankrupt.
I'm worried about it.
There'll be a number of the smaller cons that just won't be able to recover.
They won't recover.
From.
Yeah.
They'll have to file Chapter 11 if their venues still stick them with the bill. So the COVID-19 could have a very real long-term course correction or change of course to the gaming industry, just based on the convention scene alone. And the scene was booming. Everybody was throwing their own new cons left and right, and there could be a dampening to that. So
what we might end up seeing is a rise of the Kickstarter convention. I know some people have done that in the past, where like you sell essentially your tickets on Kickstarter, and then if you can raise enough money, then you book the venue. You know what I mean? Yeah. That type of thing. And I think that we may end up so some of those little conventions may end up going bankrupt and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they rise like a phoenix with the Kickstarter convention model.
They could. I'll give a shout out to Gamer Nation Con in Plano, Texas. I was involved with one of their podcasts many years ago, and they were on their 7th convention. They just, I think they've postponed it. They haven't straight up canceled it, and they've with the folks that backed it. And this is the first year they didn't kickstart it because they had enough momentum from the previous years that they did kickstart it, but they still were able to use some of the celebrities or some of the guests that were coming to do online chats of the different panels that they would have done on the con. And the con still may take place in September, if I'm not mistaken. But Gamer Nation Con, if you're interested in that, go check them out. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth region, they're good folks that get together every year. The problem is they always get together around my wife's birthday. So I cannot go to a convention next to my wife's birthday. That is a great way to.
Yeah, that's rough.
You could take her with you. Hello. Surprise, honey! I've got a birthday treat for you. We're going to a gamer convention.
We're going to a small game convention in Plano, Texas. Just what you wanted to do, sweetie. How did you know? All right, so a couple other things getting out of the COVID-19 news. Modifius, who's been very prolific lately, they've announced release of the Dishonored role-playing game based on the stealth assassin video game by Arcane Studios. It's a 308-page book.
Wow, that's a big book.
It's based on Modifius's 2D20 system, which is really picking up a lot of steam. And you can get the PDF for $20, and you can wait for the hard copy for $40.
That's a pretty easy barrier to entry right there.
Yeah. Are you guys? I know you play more video games than I do because I just don't. What's your take on Dishonored as the IP, not the gameplay?
So my take is I've only played it a little bit, and I still have them on my Xbox ready to go, both Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2, ready to play. But it's primarily a stealth game, and that's a kind of game that's a little hard for me to totally get into, where it's like 100% stealth almost all the time. So, but in terms of the story and kind of the background, I think it's really interesting. I just haven't played a lot of the game, but I think that it would be it's a great setting for the game. I think absolutely.
I have the same opinion. I really enjoyed the setting. I have it on PC, the first one, and it was the same. I played it a lot. I got pretty deep into it, but I just did. I got to the point where I was forcing myself to play because I wanted more action. If you really like Thief, if you remember the Thief games, this has a definite Thief feel to it. And there was a time and place in my life where I really enjoyed those like stealth all the time games,
like
Metal Gear Solid, all those.
Yeah, Splinter Cell was a big favorite of mine, but the whole series. But it's just not my bag anymore.
Yeah, I like to run out in the middle with a machine gun.
Right.
This would not be the game for you.
Yeah. I'm like, can I just get a Gatling gun and solve this problem? No, you're dead. Yeah. Okay, all right.
You should play Doom.
Exactly. Exactly. A good game. A really good game. Wizards of the Coast released a new Unearthed Arcana for spells and magic tattoos. So they've got some associated Fae, Elemental, and Spirit stat blocks. And there's an acid stream spell for first level if you want to shoot acid. And there's otherworldly, transforming you and giving you some abilities of a lower planes or upper planes being. And Spirit Shroud, where you surround yourself with the spirits who do extra damage when you attack, and slow creatures you choose within 10 feet of you. And if you need a cool tattoo, the tattoos are treated as wondrous items that require attunement with several effects from AC buffs to new movement powers to grant you use of spell and more. So the problem with this is that if you had a DM like Jason who doesn't let you use Unearth Arcana.
Wait, was it Jason or Sean?
It was me, but it wasn't legit yet. Right, so
it was published. I'm sorry, I'm beefing my DM.
It wasn't published at the time. It was considered still beta testing when we started.
I know. I'm just messing with you, dude. I'm just messing with you. I'm just throwing you under the bus for
gotcha.
Listen, for the record, this is a pattern of behavior with Jason. I literally got called out on rules as written for an online writing game that we're doing. A writing game that we're doing.
I have to understand the bounds so I don't break them.
Yeah.
Because I will break them.
I'm like, dude, this just came from Wizards of the Coast. I printed it off their website. And he's like, no, you can't use that.
It's something I struggle with. I struggle with rules as written.
It hurt. It really hurt. And to your credit, the stuff that I wanted to use didn't make it into the the what's its guide to everything, Xanatar's guide to everything. So you made the right call. I'm going to give you the props for that. But it's really good to shoot down your players when they get excited about new content. I just want to tell you. I'm kidding. All right, just joking.
Move along.
Chaosium announced the release for a system reference document for their basic role-playing system under the Open Gaming license. So I think this is great. Every time one of these game publishers creates an open gaming license, I think their titles have been Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest and Superworld, and they have another game that's King Arthur, based. They don't want you to write in those. They don't want you, according to for this one, they don't want you messing around in those IPs, but it's open for you to ingest, to do your own IP, or if you have generic content you think would be great for those systems.
Interesting.
I think anytime you see an open gaming license, I think it's an opportunity to put your stuff out there into the world and to see who picks it up and who takes it, and it's a good thing. And that's the news for this week. I know we usually publish like 3 weeks after we do the news, so it's old news.
Not 3 weeks. We're about a week. We're about a week behind.
I know. I'm just throwing Justin under the bus.
In fact, I just before we started this episode posted our Star Wars episode. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we're on track.
Okay. I'm just giving you crap now too because I was throwing Jason under the bus. All right, that's the news.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Dan does a lot of research for us, which we love because sometimes we are crazy busy with other things, and he's got his sources that help us out. So thank you very much, Dan, for the news that we can use. It always spurs some interesting conversations. So, all right. So our main topic of the day is family-friendly... Oh, dang it. I did this wrong. Family favorite games. What games we like to play with our families. And we'll kind of, as we explain some of our favorite games, we'll explain to you why, like the makeup of our family, which is kind of influencing. And I know for me personally, the games that I've chosen, they're not my favorite games. Mm-hmm. However, they're my favorite games to play with my family because of the makeup of my family and what they're into right now, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I guess I'll kick it off. So, we have like 2 or 3 go-tos that we play as a family when we break out board games. And just to preface it a little bit, if it's like a Sunday afternoon and mom needs a nap, the 3 kids and I will go get on Minecraft usually, or something, where we're creating a world together or something. Like, we don't usually pull out a board game unless like the whole family is kind of ready to play a board game. So That's been changing a little bit now that the kids are getting older and they can understand a little bit more complex rules and strategies. So we have been playing a little bit more board games, but the one that we got a game for Christmas. It's not a new game. In fact, many of our listeners probably have played it already. It's Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is a game where you have to try to build a train empire, essentially. There's a map of the United States, and there's different routes, between like Salt Lake and Denver, Salt Lake and Las Vegas, Salt Lake and Seattle, and that type of thing. And there's a certain amount of spaces that you have to put your train cars down, and each person has a different color, and you have to collect cards and kind of build your hand deck to be able to put the trains down. It's what I do like about it is that the mechanics are simple. Like there's not a lot of difficult rules to it. Listen, I'm playing my cards, and I have three pink train cards, and there's a route that has 3 pink spaces. I can go lay that down and put my trains on that space. Super easy mechanics, right? But there is some strategy with some of the cards. Like there's sort of these gambles that you can get, in a sense where it's like if you draw a card, you'll get a bonus victory points if you can make that route. So like one of the big routes was like from Montreal to Louisiana, like New Orleans, right? And if you could get a train route continuous from point A to point B, then you would get extra victory points. Now if you didn't get them, then those victory points would be taken out of your total at the end. So there's a little bit of a gamble there. So what I do like about it is it's super easy mechanics. It's easy to play. And there's a little bit of strategy to it on figuring out like, okay, what's the best way I can do this? And I think it's enough strategy that it engages almost all of my family. And for the record, I have a 13-year-old, I have a 11-year-old, 10-year-old, and I have a 7-year-old. Yeah, I had to think about
You're
that.
Not alone.
13,
That's okay.
13, 10, and 7.
I am frantically marking mine down right now so that when it's my turn.
Yeah. Take copious notes about the children you have spawned.
Exactly. So I 13, 10, and 7. The 7-year-old wasn't as engaged. I didn't expect her to be, so she and I were kind of playing together. But the 10-year-old wiped the board with us. I'm not even kidding you. I ended up coming in second place, and I got 90 points out of 100. I thought I was doing pretty good. He ended up getting 157 points.
Wow.
He crushed us. He dominated us. He was literally the Rockefeller and Vanderbilt combined.
So let me just drop a hint for these games. There's games that are kind of good, but they've been translated into digital versions. I have Ticket to Ride on my phone. I've got Settlers of Catan on the Xbox. Yep. Let me just say, if you plow through several hundred permutations on an electronic device and play a really fast version over a period of weeks, when you sit down and you play with other people that are unfamiliar with the game, you stomp the floor with them. I'm not saying that was your son at this time.
Maybe he found a version and just knew. And
maybe he just knew. It's it's not fun anymore because you see what everybody's doing wrong. I did play I have Ticket to Ride on my phone, and I played it with some friends. And it was and Catan. I played Catan with a whole weird group of folks I never played Catan with, and because I played it so much, I knew how to be a jerk to everybody and still win the game. So if you really want to have fun in real space with your actual friends, play the electronic version, get in a lot of reps in the gym, and then crush. Then dominate.
So I really like that one. I thought it was a great game for us. The other games that we played, this is more at our kind of between our 7 and our 10-year-olds level. It's called Labyrinth. I don't know if you guys have ever played that. It's like a tile game that you kind of shift tiles. You have one extra tile and you shift it, and it kind of changes the map of the thing. You have to get to certain icons. It's kind of like a more complicated version of Candyland. Which Candyland's the worst, by the way, but this one's a little bit better. Itself. Yeah.
So I had a wooden labyrinth that was actually a pivot game with a little metal ball in it. Okay,
that's
what I
a
thought.
different game.
Whereas yeah,
I had one of those too. I had one of those too when I was younger. No, so this Labyrinth game is a big grid. It's probably like 10 by 10 tiles, right? And there's some fixed tiles in it. So basically row like 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8 are like clear, right? And then column 2, 4, 6, 8 are clear as well. And then there's tiles in between so that you can shift an entire column or a row with a tile. Okay? And it has these little pathways in it, and the goal is to create a pathway to get to a picture on a card that you have. So I may have a picture of a princess, or a picture of a crown, or a picture of a skeleton, or something like that. And I have to get to that thing by shifting the tiles in my favor so that I can move through this kind of maze, right? And other people can go before you and totally wreck your plans, and you know what I mean? And they can shift your things off the board, and it's the mechanics are ridiculously easy. You literally shift the tiles and then try to move your pawn to that thing. So my 7-year-old loves it a lot, but she loves it because she likes to play with Daddy, and Daddy and Emily usually win. So she thinks that she's really awesome at it. so she likes it. But my 13-year-old hilariously is terrible at it. Like, she just doesn't have the foresight to think, okay, if I do this turn, then in 2 turns I'll be able to get to my thing. You know, she'll just be like, I'm stuck. I don't know what I'm going to do. Or I'm just going to sit here.
There's a Disney version. Should she want to get that one? You can be Donald Duck. It'll be great.
Yeah, she'll probably end up being Goofy. And let's see. The last one that we have been playing is Dominoes. Actually, believe it or not,
game.
We've got a set of 15s of Dominoes. And we'll play Mexican Train. Have you guys ever played Mexican Train? Yeah. So we started playing that with the kids, and they like that because, again, the mechanics aren't too complicated. If you've got the tiles, you got it. If you don't, you draw for one, and the first one out wins. So we had a good time playing that. So those are in the Smith household. Those are our favorite family games.
Dominoes
that we've been playing
is one
as
that
of late.
you always forget about that game, but that is a fun, like, if you're having an adult game night where people just come over and sit, it's just so cool because you sit there and chat and you just draw on tiles and it doesn't take a lot of thought, just having a good time.
We used to play that in college all the time. All the time. We would play like on Sunday afternoons, and we get like a couple girl apartments and a couple guy apartments, so in one thing, and we would play the entire 15 set because you know how you have to start with the highest doubles number. We'd play from like 15 down to double lot, and just the whole game, and we'd add up scores and stuff like that. So
Very
it was
cool.
a lot of fun. Yeah, good times. Good times. So, yeah, those are the Smith favorite family games that we're playing. I recommend if you've got some kids, check it out. I am looking forward to, though, I've got a game of Small World. I've got some other more kind of complicated board games that I'm looking forward to exploring with my kids as they get a little bit older. I'm going to have them try out Warcry soon, because I think the rules in that are a little easy to follow.
Small World's
especially
great.
If somebody's played it.
They can have bivouacking halflings in Small World. It's so great.
Yeah, exactly. It's good times. I want to play Small World, and I think the older two may be ready now to try it out. We'll see. All right, let's
I'm up.
see.
Okay,
Jason,
so
you're
I
up.
have a wife and 6 kids, and 2 dogs. And I live in a townhouse.
And by the way, they're all his. They're all
far as I
his
know.
kids.
Yep.
They are. We've seen them.
Good to
We've
know.
seen your kids. They are yours.
They'll match.
So
They
my
all do what the matching
my age range is 17, 15, 12, 8, 6, 4. So it's quite a range, and that has created, until recently, it has created quite a challenge for playing anything that's a complex game that has lots of pieces on the table. Because you're always going to have kids
Do
just
you
pushing
split?
pieces all over. They're distracted. And I have a really, one of the things that I always am working on is my patience. And I really, really lose my patience when people don't pay attention when it's their turn. I teach my kids, it's like, when it's your turn, you roll the dice, you move, you grab your card, and you end your turn.
Dad got mad because I was on my phone.
I'm an electrical engineer by trade, and I actually at one point was almost motivated by the difficulty to play games with my family to create a set of little tiny wireless turn buttoners that. No, that was that.
Shockers.
You know what?
Yeah,
that's phase two. Yeah,
that was phase two.
Yeah, I think I was gonna call it like it's your Qbert squiggly turn. Go already or something like that. I don't know, but they were basically little wireless buttons where you could push it, and when you finished your turn, you'd push the button, and it would send a signal to the device that was next, whose turn it was next. And if they didn't go within a certain time period, it would start to blink. And then if it didn't go in another time period, it would start to vibrate and just make everyone else at the table annoyed to force you to. Anyway, so this has been a constant struggle in our family is it's your turn, do your stuff, and move on so the next person can go. But anyways. What?
You know what this reminds me of, Jason? When we were at a Catacon and we're playing that
Alien Frontiers
dice game. Alien Frontiers, and we would be like ripping through our turns, and then there was always the dude next to me that was just like,
"Oh, let's see.
Well, gosh, I haven't even thought about what I'm gonna do." And then he kept blocking. Like the game was over. Like I was gonna win, right? And he kept blocking me to like keep it going, and I'm just like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
I did not want to see Justin get violent at a con.
Oh my gosh! I threw the dice. I actually threw the dice at one point, and I kind of felt bad. I felt really bad about it. I was a little angry.
So let me talk about the games that we do play.
Yeah,
we do have fun.
But,
so
yeah, sorry.
We got worst stories. We'll do a worst stories episode. Worst games we've ever played.
Yeah, no. So there's some standard ones we like to play. Sushi Go is it's such an easy one. Grab a card pass. Slamp.
I like Sushi Go. Let me tell you, I've got a thing about Sushi Go. First of all, any game where you're playing with different people and they've been like petting a cat and you're allergic to a cat can send you home very quickly. This literally happened to me at Watson's house. I'm not joking. The other thing about Sushi Go is the IP. It's like I just can't get into cooking sushi for people and arranging a menu. If it was like sci-fi or dwarves making stones or soldiers shooting somebody, I'd be so down for it. We'd be playing it all the time. But I just can't fall in love with miso soup as an IP thing. I'm very sorry. I'll shut up now. Those are my two. But I love the game. Though. It's a fun game.
One item down my list here, and I've already hit some trigger buttons. But well, I'll tell you that we should have an episode on game mechanics that work, because one thing that's good about games like Sushi Go and another one is Seven Wonders. Those are games where everyone plays their turns simultaneously. Any game that does that is a positive mechanic in my mind, because then you're not waiting. Everyone's involved. The whole time you're at the table, everybody's involved.
Although you could still be waiting for that one guy.
Which card am I going to pick?
Like, dude, just pull the trigger. Pull the trigger!
So, Slamwich, Exploding Kittens... these are good ones. So we got a recent game we got for Christmas this last year. It's the zombie version of Selfish, which is a really fun game. Selfish has a couple different skins on it. It's a game where you all have a character and you're drawing from a resource pile, but it's extremely simple. It's like when you draw the resource, it's just you get a card that's called Resource, and that's it. And in order to advance to try to get everybody starts at kind of like the ground level of a building, and you're trying to push your card up the table towards another card that's called Helicopter. And you have to spend a couple resources to move, one grid unit up. And then the other players can do things to try to get you to slide back down. It's a fun game. I'd recommend it. You can play it really fast. It's like 15 minutes. to play around with like 5 people. Really fun game. And if you die in the game,
Nice.
you become a zombie and you try to make the other player zombie. So you're just always engaged in the game until it's over. I really, really like it. Yeah, another game
cool.
that we play a lot as a family is Payday, which it's actually an old game that came out back in the early days when like monopolies were hitting the streets. Yeah. I
had that
enjoy it
one. We had
way
that one.
more than Monopoly. I hate Monopoly. I don't know if we've talked about this in the show. I could go off for hours about the horrible mechanics the Monopoly game brought into our industry. But anyways, Payday is like a fun version of Monopoly. And the fun thing about Payday is that the game ends when you want it to end. Unlike Monopoly, where it's like you get so involved and so invested, you either hate the game and you're like, I'm out, and you find a way to get out of the game, or you get so invested it's like you can't stop playing until you find out who actually is going to win. With Payday, it's like every round, everyone moves through a calendar, literally 31-day calendar as you roll the dice to move through the calendar. You can stop playing anytime you want. You can say, all right, we've gone through 3 months, we've gone through the calendar 3 times, let's just stop and see how much money everybody has. Or you can say, well, let's go for a couple more months if we're having fun. You can just go and you can stop. There's no like real end to the game. It's a fun game, and it's very
Nice.
simple, and it's one of those where like depending on where you land in the month, if you land, for example, if you land on the lottery, every player can decide they also want to play the lottery with you. So it's another one of those where like there are mechanics that allow people to play simultaneously. That is so important when it comes to family games, in my opinion.
And you
So
gotta get,
what you're telling
you gotta
me
get the
is
retro. You gotta get the retro one
Yeah.
where everybody's wearing bell bottoms and like freaky patterns.
So-
Check it
so-
out. Check it out.
I think we have
What
that
you're
one,
telling me, Jason, is it's not a game designed to cause you to gleefully cause the financial demise of other players, like Monopoly.
Yes, I guess.
You know, like there's something a little sadistic, like when someone lands on your boardwalk and you're like, "You owe me $2,000."
Yeah. Yeah. Or you could give me that railroad.
You can give me all your railroads.
Oh, anyways, that's a fun one. Another one that I like to play with the older kids is Gloom. And those who have played Gloom know it's a really cool game because the cards are transparent. They're little plastic cards that are transparent, and when you play the game, you start the game with a family, and so it's has a family themed game. You know, everyone across the table has a family, and so you got like 4 or 5 individual cards that you have in front of you, and then as you play the game, your goal is to create the most horrific, untimely demise for the members of your family, while cheering up and making your opponent's family happy so that they stay alive. And these cards are transparent, which means you'll get a card that says, we have the Cthulhu version. So you'll get a card that says, read a horrific entry in a diary you found buried under the stairs. And it'll give you like a -1 to your happiness. And so you'll lay that card over top of your family member, and you can still see the family member, but then there'll be like a little icon in the corner that says -5. Well, then another player can say, had a picnic with your, best friend, and she told you that she really loved you, and that put on top, and it would block out your -5 and put like a +3. So, So you're trying to make your family feel upset and to basically kill the members of your family, and then the other players can play cards on top of your cards that block out the negative points you put on yours to make them positive. And it's a very themed game. It's very fun. I've played it with adults. I've played it with kids. Like I said, we have the Cthulhu version of the game. I could go on and on. There's lots of games I don't like to play with my family because they're too complex, but.
Maybe that'll be another episode. The unfriendly
you go.
family favorites. The
And I
unfavorite
love
family
complex games, which makes it a little difficult for me. All of the games in my closet are, very, very strategic and tactical thinking, and they just don't work well with little kids. Later
Later
in
in
life.
life.
Yep.
Later in life, they will discover that you were a treasure trove of fascinating games. They'll go, "Wow, Dad was so cool when we were little." So,
All right, Dan, what you got?
we have. I know you guys are hating on Monopoly, but we have a version of Monopoly Junior or Monopoly Kids, which is pretty fun, where you're going around and selling ticket booths next to different theme park
sounds
rides.
interesting.
And it is a total gateway drug for real Monopoly. It's a total gateway, I'm not going to lie. But it's one of the games, I only put down on the list games that 3 or 4 of us can play and actually have fun and go, wow, we played a game, and then go do something else. And so it's the least painful form of Monopoly I've ever played in my life. And you still feel like you're playing Monopoly because you're buying stuff. But instead of buying property and then building house, you just put your little ticket booths down on the different areas. And it's good. It's good. And it's good to get the kids involved with a little bit of math, doing a little bit of numbers and moving money around. It's good. We play Pie Face. We went through a Pie Face thing. I don't know if you are familiar
is
with
that the one
this.
with the mechanical
This
arm?
is a game that involves whipped cream and a mechanical arm that hits you in the face with whipped cream. My wife loves these types of games. There's no strategy to it. You spin the spinner and you click the knob that many times.
It's Russian roulette, essentially.
It's Russian roulette, and everybody wants to get hit, but you don't want to get hit, but you want to get hit, but you don't want to get hit.
Listen, I saw a YouTube video of this game. It was high stakes, all grown adults. I mean, it's like adults and their grown children. Dog poop on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, high
cool.
stakes.
No
so you would click it, and it'd be like 1, 2, 3, and it's like, it didn't go, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Dude,
you know?
not in my house, that's all I have to say. But, the gamer inside of me keeps wanting to take the pie face mechanic thing apart and figure out its randomization thing. So, I keep counting, and I'm trying to reverse engineer Pie Face to make sure I never get hit or always get hit. So anyway, long story short, I've not disassembled my Pie Face game yet, but if I get bored enough during COVID-19, I might. Flex is a great card game. I've played it quite a bit with my spouse. It's a really great, and there's 50 skins for Flux. There's Star Trek Flux. I have Monty Python Holy Grail Flux, which is great. My wife doesn't get it. She's not into that movie, but it's fantastic. But Flux is fun, and that's another gateway game to get people into more complicated games, because you're like, okay, you need to pay attention to the rules every turn, and you have to be thinking 3 or 4 turns ahead to accommodate a win condition that you can devise in your hand based on how you can control the rules to work in your favor. So Flux has stuck around and has gone out in many iterations for a good reason, because the bones are really well designed. And
I've never even heard of that game. I gotta check it out.
It's good. It's good. You can play it with couples. You can play it with kids that are just a little bit on the older side. I wouldn't play it with my 7-year-old. The game that 4 out of 5 of us can play for hours when our remotes are not crapping out on us is definitely Minecraft. There's something about creative mode for our family where everybody can go off and build cool things, and it's just like giant Legos, and everybody knows about Minecraft who's calling in. But
you said 4 out of 5, and I'm assuming it's your wife that isn't proficient, right?
Well, fortunately, we only have 4 controllers, so we don't know if a 5th one we could play all 5 of us. But 4 of us have played independently on 4 corners of the screen and had a good time and walked away and went, wow, that was fun. But my kids are spread out, much like Justin's kids are spread out age-wise. So finding something that at least the majority of us can really enjoy that's not Candyland is really, really good.
We play Minecraft in survival mode. Survival mode only. I basically told my kids I'm not a creative mode guy. Like I kind of get a little too bored. I like the idea of creating my own civilization without having everything given to me.
Yeah.
And the the threat of monsters. So create defenses if you can. And map everything out.
Yeah.
And I really like that aspect. And I've gotten the kids on board with me, including Emily, the youngest. Usually she stays near my side, and I give her a building project to do, and she's totally content. And I go mine her materials and bring them back and let her keep building. And, so if it makes her feel like she's in creative mode. And then the other two, the older two, they usually go off on their own plans, and we end it with, hey, let's do more tomorrow. And that's always a positive thing, right? When you're like, hey, let's work on this more another time.
My kids
that's kind
play
of a win.
a lot of Minecraft together, and they do a lot of cross-platform play. It's one game that's really succeeded at that. So I'll walk around my house one evening, and I'll see kids on the computers. I'll see other kids on their phones, all playing on the same server, regardless of what device they're using. Yeah, and also
it's pretty cool.
on the PlayStation 4 also can be cross-compatible. Of course, in order to do that with the PlayStation 4, you have to pay for the online membership. But so most of the time, they jump on the PlayStation. Right. They'll just do the 4 quadrants of the screen. Otherwise, they get on the computers and the phones and play together.
Now the advantage of that is you get your whole screen
Yep.
to yourself. So that's why they like doing it.
And I think it goes to the brilliance of the design. Here's a game with horrible graphics from 2011 where people customize it to suit their needs because it's a different experience for everybody. Some people like to go and get mods. Some people like to go on public servers. There's all kinds of ways to enjoy this game. I mean, if you look at a game which is just really well designed and is still fun a decade after it's released as a video game and still has the millions of monthly active users, and not to mention all the YouTube videos and all the machinima that's come out from Minecraft, it's just really well designed and well thought out, and I can't knock it. I can't knock it one bit. It's just a good experience all around, and it's on every freaking platform for goodness sake.
It's insane. It's insane, and really usable. I mean, I've played it on my phone before with my kids, and I was rocking and rolling because it's not graphic intense, and you're able to do it. So it's a fun one for sure. Now, I will say that my wife has played it with us, and things kind of got a little dicey when the 7-year-old was calling mom a noob.
Don't do that. That's what not to do.
Like, Mom, you're such a noob.
You're such a noob.
That's when you lean over and say, careful, you don't have to sleep next to her.
That's harsh.
Exactly. And I think my quote was, Mom's not a noob, she's just new.
She has finesse. She's taking her time.
Yeah, and my wife's response to it was, I was really good at Pac-Man back in the day. I'm like, oh dear, not helping.
That you're not helping your case at all.
Yeah. Now with the family games, like my wife is really good about it, including a lot of the kids and getting them all together and making sure they're having a good time. So I do enjoy that aspect. I think she enjoys the social aspect for the family, being around the table all together, versus us all sitting on a couch kind of talking about what's going on the TV, So, I think that there's definitely a lot of space for family gaming. I think especially as we're, I don't know about the rest of the country, but in Virginia we're told to stay in our houses until June 10th now. So there's going to be a lot more family gaming as things continue on, So I think if we can find more of those friendly games to work out, that's a way to sort of stave off the cabin fever that all of us are just now starting to, I think, feel a little bit more. So, yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it for the show today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our podcast here. And if you would, just give us a shout-out on Facebook. We've got the page up now. And look us up, Tabletop and Beyond. Go ahead and like the page. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you guys are interested in talking about or what you'd like us to talk about. So feel free to give us some feedback. We'd love to kind of incorporate some of what you guys are thinking into what we're doing as well. So, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody.